Yeah, I still hate you.
It's only just beginning.
Oh, yeah! It was like lightning! Everybody was fighting! And the music was soothing! And they all started grooving! And the man at the back said, everyone attack and it turned into a mountain place! And the girl in the front said, boy, I want the money and it turned into a mountain place!
First up, Series 4 of New Who had a classic example of Russell Davies' demented ideas of what constitutes a series arc. Random mentions of planets going missing. Some recently, some in the ancient past, some maybe in the future, and some not planets.
Did they ever find it?
Find what?
The lost moon of Poosh.
No.
Now, there's a problem with the whole missing planets thing, beyond it being kinda dumb. At the end of this two-parter, the planets are returned to their proper time and place. But them being missing is what set up the plots in a number of episodes. You could argue that until they get returned by the Doctor, from his point of view, they don't get returned, and him returning them changes history. However, if that's the case, the entirety of reality should be wiped out by the reality bomb, because it originally got set off in the modern day. In Journey's End, Rose talked about seeing the reality bomb's wave of destruction approaching her Earth.
It's the darkness. The stars were going out, one by one. We looked up at the sky and they were just dying.
So until the Doctor stops the Daleks, from his point of view, they won. The Doctor changed history. Anyway, all this means that any Series 4 stories that take place in the future can't have happened. Which I'm not really complaining about, because that includes the Doctor's daughter, but that's besides the point. Okay, are we confused? Good, then I'll continue. A number of the stories in Series 4 flat out can't have happened. So between the stories that don't exist anymore because the Doctor put the planets back at the end of the two-parter, and the ones that shouldn't have happened because Russell decided that Davros originally set off the reality bomb in the modern day in order to get Rose involved, Series 4 of New Who is actually only about 4 episodes long. Unfortunately, including both this and its sequel. And this is just one of the many reasons that Buffy the Vampire Slayer type series arcs are a terrible idea in a time travel show. Anyway, Donna just met Rose Tyler. She's arrived because the reality bomb was about to destroy her Earth. And seeing sense for once, the Doctor realised this means something terrible is going on. In this case, some universe-endangering dimensional shenanigans. But also, and much worse, that Rose is back.
It's fine. Everything's fine.
Nothing's fine. I'm watching The Stolen Earth.
Excuse me? What day is it?
Why, sir, it's the day that New Who Pre-Series 11 aired.
Good, I like Saturdays.
Doctor, in the last episode, you were somewhere off in time and space, and reality kinda went nuts. Why did you think this was a time and place things were going nuts if you didn't even know when you landed? The Doctor looks both concerned and confused. He should be used to Russell Davies' screenwriting by now, though. Whatever's going on, it rarely makes sense.
Rose is coming back. Isn't that good?
Sorry for the obviousness of this comment, but fuck no. Anyway, back in the TARDIS, the Doctor uses the TARDIS's godlike superior tech to work out what's going on. Something that goes so very well that they miss a global earthquake happening outside and only notice when the entire planet is stolen. The instruments don't even pick it up. The TARDIS just shakes really hard.
We're in space.
Okay, so the TARDIS was left, probably because it was a TARDIS. This doesn't make sense because it's inside the Earth's atmosphere and the outside reads as regular wood, so it really should have been yoinked too, but okay, it's not because it's the TARDIS. But I have to ask, what the fuck are those rocks?
TARDIS is still in the same place, but the Earth is gone.
Okay, so ground level suburban London is more full of orbiting meteors than I remember. This story is a cavalcade of special guest stars. Martha Jones is over in a TV studio in Cardiff pretending to be New York. Sarah Jane's in another TV studio in Cardiff pretending to be London. And the Torchwood gang are at an extended Dragon Age Elf Mage convention that's actually in Cardiff. It's dark all over the world, solid night, which makes sense, what with there being no sun, but what does the space around them look like? A dark void, devoid of light? Nope! People often forget just how bright moonlight is. What with all that crap in the sky, it really should be about half as bright as daytime down there.
No, Dad, just look. Oh my God. Look at the sky.
Stop drawing attention to it. At least the darkness was cheaper for filming than even attempting to recreate the bizarre light conditions that should be going on. Good thing too, it allowed them to spend more on the important stuff, like making everything look like a Nickelodeon show.
That's just impossible.
And yet, people won't even remember it happening in a couple of days.
Right, now we're in trouble.
Yeah, directors only unironically bring out the extreme close-ups when they're getting desperate. Or they're Sam Raimi. And this was directed by Graham Harper, so it's not the second one.
It's only just beginning.
Yes, Rose, blast those planets out of the sky. So, why the dramatic close-ups in The Milkman? Are there even milkmen like that anymore? The last time I remember milk being delivered like that was the fucking 90s. And most importantly, why the fuck didn't Rose appear in deep space next to the fucking TARDIS? You might be surprised to hear that I actually quite like the Series 4 of New Who theme. It's like the first 3 series, but some clever bastard decided it should sound a bit like a Doctor Who theme. Anyway, things look bad, and it's a stolen Earth, but the Doctor's a plan.
Donna, I'm taking you to the Shadow Proclamation.
Not sure if a goth band will be much help, Doctor. Actually, the Shadow Proclamation of the Space UN that is so vaguely defined it's both some kind of treaty.
I seek audience with the Nestine Consciousness under peaceful contract, according to Convention 15 of the Shadow Proclamation.
And an organisation.
I'm taking you to the Shadow Proclamation.
Anyway, as the world is terrified with the sun vanishing and all the planets appearing in the sky.
So what was I drinking last night? Furniture polish.
Gato!
The voice of reason appears on TV to tell the world that no, it's the Earth that moved.
But it's an empirical fact. The planets didn't come to us, we came to them.
I realise that as an evolutionary biologist, I'm hardly the most qualified person to explain this. But it's hardly my fault that Neil deGrasse Tyson has more expensive TV shows to be condescending on. Fun fact, when they filmed this, Dawkins was married to Lalla Ward, Romana II, companion of the Fourth Doctor. Her ex-husband was Tom Baker, and she was introduced to Dawkins by his best friend Douglas Adams, writer of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy and head writer of Classic Who for a series. Meaning that out of that group, Dawkins has by far the worst Who career. Maybe I'm giving this too much credit, but I think the choice of arch-atheist Richard Dawkins here might be a subtle joke about Galileo, and it's possibly apocryphal, and yet it moves, quote, after the church authorities forced him to stop saying it was the earth that moved, and not the sun.
We've travelled.
Gato! Time and a place.
Yeah, it's funny though.
Yanto likes to veer madly between hating and loving Jack, and at the moment, it looks like he's a hard quarter of the way one way or the other.
Someone's established an artificial atmospheric shell keeping the air and...
Why? We have one of those. It's called an atmosphere. Or does New Who think that the atmosphere relies on the sun? The tragedy is, there's something non-ridiculous that he could have mentioned here. Unless the Earth is still spinning at exactly the same rate, then everything inside the atmosphere should be fucked. It'd be like a world-encompassing car crash as the planet stops, but the atmosphere keeps going at 1,000 miles an hour. So we could have just said they've done something to stop that from happening, but nah, apparently the sun keeps the air from escaping. Anyway, the danger isn't from all the Earth escaping anyway, it's from the place freezing. Which it's not. They mention that the atmospheric shell is keeping the heat from escaping.
Someone's established an artificial atmospheric shell keeping the air and holding in the heat.
But that's not the problem, it's the lack of new heat coming in. So the place the planets are being kept must be pretty warm, and it's somehow keeping the Earth balmy. You know, juxtaposing New Who Torchwood and the Surgeon Adventures just demonstrates how all of RTD's era had the production design, lighting and direction of the same kids show. You might say that it further integrates them into the same world, and I'd say, yeah, it does. But it's a kids TV show world. You might say that I shouldn't have said RTD's era because he's back again and this is RTD1. And I'd say that the first thing he did when he got back was make it look shit again. Anyway, Martha's going on about her magic space phone, which can call anywhere in the galaxy, but still can't get decent reception.
This number calls anywhere in the universe, it never breaks down. They must be blocking it.
Whoever they are.
Maybe it's those pepperpot things that keep turning up when you least expect them, and they turn up a lot, so you fuckers clearly never expect them. 'Cause you're dumb. We're all running nowhere in particular!
The end of the world, darling! End of the sticky world!
Have one on me, mate.
Panic sound! This sort of thing might be why no one remembers this. Anyway, Rose takes time off from stalking the streets, doing nothing in particular, in order to stop some looters.
Right! You two! You can put that stuff down or run for your lives.
The other 50 crimes going on in this shot are forgivable, though. It's the end of the world. So why don't the looters challenge her? I mean, she's a civilian with what looks like a super soaker.
Do you like my gun?
Because they're extras and it's literally more than their jobs are worth. They'd have to be paid more if they speak. Side note, but these two are the best casting I've ever seen for two random idiots. Chef's kiss, A+, this is cinema. Anyway, having seen them off, Rose sits down and ponders the TV. Maybe they don't have them in the parallel universe. You see, breaking and entering is a crime, stealing stuff is a crime, but entering and fucking with the merchandise, so it shows the approaching Dalek fleet, clearly isn't. Okay, so Sarah Jane hears a transmission from the Daleks and looks fucking terrified.
Exterminate! Exterminate!
But why? She fought them twice, decades ago, and she's had dozens of adventures since then. To the audience, the Daleks are the ultimate symbol of Doctor Who villainy. But to Sarah Jane, they're a couple of bad weekends 30 years earlier. If this was a reaction to Davros, I could maybe buy it. Or if it was the Sontarans, they were her first aliens she faced. Plus, the Sontarans were kind of hardcore back then. Their whole second appearance was just one guy torturing humans to get intelligence on how better to kill us for a planned future war. Plus, she'd already expressed some PTSD about the Sontarans back in the 70s. Lynx, the first Sontaran she met, had such an impact on her that she's mistaken Styre, who looks nothing like Lynx, for him.
Lynx? The Sontaran? Can't be.
I am Styre, Field Major Styre, as you would address me.
There's nothing I can do. I'm sorry, we're dead.
Jack having this reaction is a bit normy, but it kind of makes sense. They killed him the first time, it's PTSD. But Sarah Jane really should have more steel. Anyway, time for the Daleks to start blowing the shit out of the place, because the audience would be confused if they didn't. That was better when the 7th Doctor did it. The explosion was mistimed and much larger than expected. I think it blew off the back of his costume, but he kept walking because he knew they had one take, and McCoy is a fucking pro.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are at war.
War? What is it good for? Mostly goosing the ratings. So it's time to introduce the Dalek leader, the Supreme Dalek. And it's a red Dalek in a neck brace, with a third light in the back of his head. I suppose the third light is important so the Daleks behind him know when he's speaking, especially seeing as he can't turn to face him without swiveling his body. They could have just taken a regular one and painted him red, or come up with a radical new design of Dalek. Actually, I'm glad they didn't. Every time New Who tries that, they just make them worse. They could have made a smaller, mobile version of the Dalek Emperor from Power of the Daleks, but nah, neck brace and third light.
Now the Daleks are the masters of Earth! Daleks are the masters of Earth!
The Supreme Dalek has an amazing collection of vintage Dalek toys. I do like the shot of the eye stalks raising to look at him. Kind of evokes a masked Nazi silhouette. Anyway, after many minutes of bollocks from both me and the episode, Donna finally gets round to asking what the Shadow Proclamation is.
What is the Shadow Proclamation anyway?
Posh name for police. Outer space police. Here we go.
And they live in an office block with mood lighting. The original idea was for literally every alien in Who history to be bunched together, all beseeching the Shadow Proclamation for help. But like many things, like decent lighting, it was a bit too expensive.
Time Lords are the stuff of legend. You cannot possibly exist.
And yet, he somehow swans around being a twat everywhere and everywhen. Go figure. So the Shadow Proclamation tell the Doctor about the other missing planets. Not just a few he's already heard about all series, but the others like Calufrax Minor. Calufrax Minor must be near Calufrax, which was stolen by the pirate planet back in the 70s, when acting looked like this.
Which will neutralize their mental power.
And leave them defenseless? As weak as ordinary men? Obliterable!
Poor Calufraxans, they get no breaks. Luckily, they're already dead.
Locations range far and wide, but all disappeared at the exact same moment, leaving no trace.
Then, why were the Pyroviles trying to conquer the Earth after losing their planet over 2,000 years ago, while the Adipose were trying to turn the Earth into a nursery to make up for the loss of Adipose 3 in the modern day? If the Pyroviles have time travel to go back and fuck around with the Earth, then why not go back and try to stop the loss of their planet?
What about Pyrovilia? Way back, when we were in Pompeii, Lucius said Pyrovilia had gone missing.
Okay, so the episode realizes the problem. How exciting.
Pyrophilia is cold case, not relevant.
The missing planets were all taken at the same time, except Pyrophilia. Because reasons.
Donna, brilliant! Planets have been taken out of time as well as space.
What? How'd you work that out? All you know is that the planets were taken earlier. Maybe the process for moving the planets needed a couple to start with, so they could grab the last 20 out at once. That sounds dumb, but one of the story's main morals is that a collection of planets properly aligned is fucking magic. And if the Daleks went into the past and took the planets at a time, which, to be fair, they did, then why didn't they just take one every few 100,000 years so no one fucking noticed? They can clearly take only one planet if they want. They had to have a first planet that they took. Anyway, Donna's got a chip on her shoulder the size of the Lost Moon of Push.
I'm a human being. Maybe not the stuff of legend, but every bit as important as Time Lords, thank you.
No, you're not. Try being a human shutting up. The aliens are talking. So, anyway, the Doctor's taken his wild speculation based on almost nothing and stuck the planets together based on absolutely nothing. How the fuck do you know where they are in relation to each other?
Planets rearrange themselves into the optimum pattern.
How the fuck can you, or for that matter, the computer, know the optimum pattern when you don't know what the purpose is? Like, if you find the perfect pile of materials in the right shape to create a motorbike, but what if you don't know what a motorbike is? Say, you're a jellyfish. Then to you, all it looks like is a weird reef waiting to happen. Maybe whoever stole the planets just wanted to create a really dramatic night sky, which I'm pretty sure would need a slightly different kind of optimum than a reality-destroying superweapon. But the Doctor's an old hand at pulling something from his rectum, or the computer's rectum, and having it be right for no reason whatsoever.
Look at that.
Do I have to?
Someone tried to move the Earth once before.
Yeah, the Time Lords. And they succeeded. It happened in Colin Baker's era. And that was the future!
It's in the wrong part of space for it to be your planet. Besides, according to all the records, this is Gravelox.
Well, then how do you explain this?
Can't. Unless, of course, perhaps they collected railway stations.
But he's talking about the Daleks, and that was in the future too, so it wasn't before. And they were just going to add an engine to it and turn into a massive spaceship.
That will enable us to pilot the planet anywhere in the universe.
And they failed before they could do it. Well, the Time Lords actually teleported it across the universe for reasons that I would go into if they made any fucking sense, but they don't. Anyway, holy fuck, the Daleks are attacking Cloud Base. They're trying to kill Captain Scarlet. Joke's on them. They crash him and his body may burn. They smash him, but they know he'll return to live again. Captain Jack. Dun 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 dun. Sorry, I got carried away. In New York, Martha's being enlisted to use an experimental one-shot teleporter to go use something called the Osterhagen key.
But we can't use Project Indigo. It hasn't been tested, so we don't even know if it works.
Not to be churlish, but why didn't you test your teleporter before locking it up behind inches of reinforced steel? It'd be a bit embarrassing if, after all that, all it did was leave her in the nearest cupboard. And why does she need the teleporter? Because some fucking idiot decided that the Osterhagen key, which is a weapon of malicious defense, designed to be used when the human race only has revenge left, should only be able to be operated from certain points on the planet, which are apparently thousands of miles from when the keys required to use it are kept.
I authorize you to take this. The Osterhagen key.
She needs to go to Germany to use it, because travelling across the Atlantic is so quick and easy to do, even when the world's not currently ending. Sure, she has a teleporter, which is technology that would come in handy in many future stories, but they don't give a fuck about that. But all this raises a very simple question. Why? Why do they keep the key so far from Germany that they need a fucking teleporter? A fucking teleporter that they don't even know works. Just put them closer together. You could still have your heroic last stand as Martha escapes with the key. It'd just involve a little less of a light show. Well, at least Unit hasn't changed.
You know, just once I'd like to meet an alien menace that wasn't immune to bullets.
But why me?
You're our only hope of finding the Doctor.
And if you fail, then Ace, Mel, Tegan, K9, Harry, Sarah Jane, Captain Yates, Sergeant Benton, the Brigadier, Joe, Liz, Victoria, Ben, Polly, Dodo, Ian, Barbara, or Dr. Grace Holloway and Chang Lee will be only hope. And you know how early New Who feels about including people from the old TV show in these stories. Only Sarah Jane or Peter Davison? Only Sarah Jane, Peter Davison, or Joe Grant.
Martha, I'm
telling you. Don't use Project Indigo. It's not safe. Don't!
So where is she?
Scattered into atoms.
Even if you're right, it was a choice between being dead like that or being dead like this. Obviously she's not, because overdramatic bullshit is a diesel this gas guzzler runs on.
Martha's down.
And how long does it take to reveal that this is bollocks? Oh, good.
Supreme Dalek, is there news? Earth has been subjugated. I mean, is there news of him?
Hello, New Who Davros. This is probably New Who's best bit of villain casting. Possibly New Who's best casting overall. Julian Bleach is mostly a theatrical actor who specialises in dark and weird characters, and he fits Davros like a glove. It's kind of wild how many actors knock the part of Davros out of the park, even with often terrible scripting. Obviously, my favourite Davros was Terry Malloy.
But did you bother to tell anyone they might be eating their own relatives?
Certainly not!
That would have created what I believe is termed consumer resistance.
But Michael Wisher defined the role in Genesis of the Daleks.
I would do it. That power would set me up above the gods. And through the Daleks, I shall have that power!
In fact, the only bad Davros so far is David Goodison, but that might be because they gave him a hand-me-down mask, and maybe didn't even tell him how Davros is meant to sound.
In the history of the universe, this moment is unique. Davros lives!
Fun fact, but Davros' voice was based on the mid-20th century logician Bertrand Russell's.
The moral thing I should wish to say to them is very simple. I should say, love is wise, hatred is foolish.
When all other life forms are suppressed, when the Daleks are the supreme rulers of the universe, then you will have peace.
And if we are to live together and not die together, we must learn a kind of charity and a kind of tolerance.
Wars will end. They are the power not of evil, but of good.
This is an odd fact up there with Agent Smith in The Matrix's voice being based on Carl Sagan's.
If you wish to make an apple pie from scratch, you must first invent the universe. Suppose I cut a piece out of this apple pie. Crumbly, but good.
Anyway, back when they were casting the 12th Doctor, there was a brief and shining moment when there was a rumour that Julian Bleach was a frontrunner. That level of terrifying would have been amazing. I figure I should probably talk about the elephant in the room, Russell's announcement that wheelchair-bound iconic Davros won't be back. And if he does return, he'll be able-bodied, and I have some thoughts. 1. The evil disabled person trope is bad, but the way to combat it is to keep it in mind when creating new characters, not changing popular ones with iconic designs. And I could have told Russell this back in the mid-2000s when he created evil disabled people John Lumick and Max Capricorn. But you know, he'd probably just laugh at me and call me a Ming Mong. Mong being a British ableist slur. 2. The evil queer trope is similar to the evil disabled trope. Both have a long and sad history of using minority status as a shorthand for evil. And how is New Who handling that trope? Oh, good. 3. Russell is full of shit and always has been. He's an expert at making people talk about the show, so please, stop believing him and judge him by what he does, not what he says. And 4. Compare Russell's pre-accident Davros to Big Finish as. Russell's is a freakish gremlin man with awkward tight body movements, meaning that at least some of his post-accident restricted physicality was always like that. While Big Finish's version, played by Terry Malloy, was seemingly basically physically normal. They did a 4-hour biography of Davros from childhood till Genesis of the Daleks, and it is excellent. Anyway, in Big Finish's version, we get the idea that Davros' entire body has been damaged by his accident. Which makes sense. I mean, look at him. And all that's evil about Davros is interior, is internal. While Russell's leapt face first into the evil ugly trope, which is almost as bad as the evil disabled and evil queer tropes. In short, Russell, stop trying to fix things. I love the soft rubber talons at the end of Davros' hands that the sound guys are desperately trying to convince us is metal.
Oh, creator of us all.
You could have just used hard plastic. Davros lost his hand in Revelation of the Daleks, when he had it shut off and he tried to create an army of Daleks and dead bodies and fought a Space Knight bounty hunter and his squire. Revelation of the Daleks is occasionally fucking amazing.
If I had not elevated you beyond crude emotions, I could almost mistake that tone for one of victory.
And we all know that neither of you ever win. Anyway, it turns out that Dalek, the only survivor from the cult of Skaro, somehow rescued the Dalek fleet from some space-time bollocks to do with the Time War and brought them here. It destroyed his mind in the process, but left him with the twin gifts of prophecy and talking bollocks, which, to be fair, often go hand in hand. Or tentacle and tentacle.
He is coming, the threefold man.
The story would be much improved if the threefold man was the 3 Ninth Doctors: Eccleston, Atkinson and Grant. Anyway, Donna looks like he's wondering why the Shadow Proclamation doesn't have an office like we're having this meeting in, when she's accosted by one of New Who's random characters who knows shit for no reason but to create drama and tension.
There was something on your back. How'd you know that? You are something new.
I fucking hate it when shows do this. It is the laziest way possible to create intrigue. Except for maybe having someone walk in and yell at the audience to be fucking intrigued. It's shit now, it was shit in the Ghost Monument.
We see deeper though, further back, the timeless child.
It was shit in Torchwood.
This is Team Torchwood, the teacher's pets. But teacher's gone, hasn't he? Leaving the kiddie kids all alone.
And it was shit in Series 14 when Russell did it again, but also had it come to nothing, and then laughed at the audience for being intrigued.
I'm so sorry for your loss. My whole planet's gone. I mean, the loss that is yet to come.
Classic Who never pulled this crap, because Classic Who thought that manipulating the audience to generate interest was wrong, and opposed it at all costs. Any interest that the audience had in Classic Who was pure. A total fucking accident.
Donna, come on, think. Earth, there must have been some sort of warning. Was anything happening back in your day, like...
Well, how should I know?
As we've established many times, I don't pay attention to anything that's not about me. Or bees.
There were the bees disappearing.
The bees disappearing.
Bees. You are God.
The bees disappearing!
So, it turns out that bees are aliens.
Don't be so daft. Not all of them.
And we're going home because they knew what was going to happen to the Earth. Meaning bees are smarter than not just the Space Police Intergalactic Goth Band UN, but the Doctor himself, and he has the ability to literally see the future. And that's somehow not the silliest thing. This is...
You saying bees are aliens?
Donna, just a few episodes ago you were menaced by an alien wasp. You don't get to be flabbergasted by the existence of alien bees! And besides, because that's one of the stories set in the past and the plot didn't happen because of a missing planet, so it's one of the few stories this series that definitely happened. In this era, it was common to replace plot and dramatic reveals with David Tennant yelling about them.
So looking for a speck of cinema in the Sahara, but look! There it is!
Anyway, whatever the fuck he did worked, and he's found the Daleks and the Shadow Proclamation make 2 very interesting demands. One, that they're given control of the TARDIS so they can fight the Daleks and save the planets. And B, that the Doctor will lead them.
We are declaring war, Doctor, right across the universe, and you will lead us into battle!
I kinda wish the Doctor had accepted and then ordered them to stay put while he went off to deal with it alone. But nah, that'd be imaginative. Instead he just leaves.
Doctor, come back! I order you to stop!
Apparently, Russell's original end for Journey's End included Han 10 taking the TARDIS, coming back here, collecting the Shadow Proclamation army, and storming the Daleks en masse. Like the mass alien scene earlier on, it had to be cut because the show has a smaller budget than his imagination, and he'd rather waste money elsewhere.
You will come with us!
Where are you taking us?
Daleks do not answer human questions!
You just did, it just wasn't the answer they wanted. Anyway, the family go back into their house because some motherfuckers in an alien invasion are always trying to ice skate uphill.
Maximum extermination!
Plus, it helps to remind the audience that these nasty dustbins running around and enslaving the human race are actually, shock horror, the bad guys. You'd think that'd be obvious, but enjoying New Who frequently relies on you not noticing the obvious. Anyway, Donna's granddad, the ever-wonderful Bernard Cribbins, tries to take a Dalek out with a paintball.
My vision is not impaired.
He is so charmingly gormless that I can't really hold it against him. The guy's a veteran. He was charmingly gormless when facing the Daleks back in the 60s.
Exterminate!
Rose was too busy standing around dramatically to save that family earlier. She knows that Donna's the current companion and for some reason thinks that her family might be able to contact her. I mean, yeah, they might, but personally I'd assume they wouldn't want to.
If you can't find Donna, we can't find the doctor.
But now, apparently, she figures it'd be easier for these two old people to find Donna, who she assumes is with the doctor, when her and all her future tech can't find the doctor. And where are they? The Medusa Cascade.
The Medusa Cascade.
One of the landmarks of the Time War, a space time rift. The Daleks are hiding inside with their fleet, planets, and all the flat surfaces they could ever want.
I came here when I was just a kid. 90 years old.
Did whoever brought you here tell you why the Time Lords named it after an ancient mythical rape victim? Was the Lucretia Gush or the Sabine Spurt not poetic enough? Anyway, the doctor tells Donna that the trail's gone cold, and he spends a hilarious amount of time not answering and increasingly distressed Donna about what they're going to do next.
You never give up! Please!
It's well timed because back on Earth, the human government surrendered to the Daleks, and all are sad about it.
We surrender.
You will obey your Dalek
Subwave network is open. You should be able to hear my voice. Harriet Jones, former Prime Minister.
That's a passport, heroic Theresa May. She's former Prime Minister and is using a secret communications network to contact people and form a resistance. But let's listen again to the sound of her special, secret, British government adjacent communications network, shall we? That just sounds like the Master's drums. If I was a sensible person, I'd guess this was a secret network created by the Master when he was working on becoming the God Emperor of Earth.
Basically, end of the world.
Luckily I'm not sensible, because this is set up by Mr. Copper from The Voyage of the Damned.
It was created by the Mr. Copper Foundation.
I've got money.
Yes, you have.
Anyway, Rose is desperate to be on this call that she's already on.
She can't hear me. Have you got a webcam?
No, she wouldn't let me. She said they're naughty.
What's weird is that Harriet Jones doesn't seem to have called Rose / Donna's family. It just happened because of reasons.
Hello?
Martha Jones!
Who's she?
Martha Jones!
Who's she?
Martha Jones!
Who's she?
Martha Jones!
Who's she?
Martha Jones!
Gato! Time to play.
It's funny though.
What's also weird is that she called Martha's house, even though she was based in New York. You see, the teleporter read her disintegrated and literally non-existent mind and sent her home to her mum.
Maybe Indigo tapped into my mind because I ended up in the one place that I wanted to be.
I assume that Martha's mind wasn't in her right mind when it didn't exist. Just in time to receive the call.
The laptop turned itself on?
It did.
What a stroke of luck!
This is the Subwave network, a program to seek out anyone and everyone who can help to contact the doctor.
Except, you know, all the rest of them. I can just imagine Ian and Barbara desperately trying to make the computer work in an old person's home as the nurses shuffle them back to bed with a soothing, "Yes, you did fight the Daleks, I know." Well, that sort of thing would require it to give a fuck about anything before 2005, which it clearly doesn't.
It was created by the Mr. Copper Foundation.
Hi, I'm RTD, and, please forgive the lack of an accent. Hagen can't do a Welsh accent, so isn't even trying to. But I'm RTD, and I'm throwing out references with such pointlessness and reckless abandon that I'll put your eyes out. And don't forget to be intrigued. Be intrigued. This approach will never come back and bite me in the ass. Anyway, Rose spends the whole time reminding me of why I can't fucking stand her.
Who's she?
And Martha Jones, former companion to the doctor.
Oh, so was I. And the doctor's got my phone on the TARDIS, but I can't get through.
Nor me, and I was here first.
Typical Rose, she can't even remember that they don't know she's there. Her jealousy got so full it declared it needed a Lebensraum annexment to her short-term memory.
And I was here first.
And there she goes, assuming she was a companion before Martha, as though it's a chronological ranking system. I fucking hate Rose. Martha fell for the doctor and backed off without a scene. Donna was happy to know that Rose is back. And then Rose swans in, gets included for no reason, and then is a bitch to her perceived rivals.
And and I was here first.
Anyway, this Council of Elrong meanders into the subject of the Osterhagen Key.
The Osterhagen Key.
That thing Martha has.
The Osterhagen Key.
But what is an Osterhagen Key?
It means Eastern Hagen, so it's probably my evil twin. No, it's the world-ending thing. It's an anagram of Earth Gone, because Russell's clever like that. So Harriet Jones is asked about her downfall in the Christmas invasion.
And I've wondered about that for a long time, whether I was wrong.
But then I remembered that if someone had blown this much of a fuck out of every Dalek that ever caused trouble on this planet, then maybe they'd leave us alone. So no, I wasn't wrong, because the Sycorax never came back. Anyway, enough of this bullshit. Time for new bullshit. They decide to phone the doctor so we can find them. They use Martha's magic phone, send the signal through the Torchwood Rift, and use Mr. Smith, Sarah Jane's computer, to boost the signal, by making every phone on the planet join in the call. I think I am so very tired.
Billions of phones calling out all at once.
Brilliant.
Oh no, it's even stupider. Won't the vast majority of calls not get through because the phone on the other end is still just a phone? Of course, if they do this, the Daleks will trace the call to Harriet Jones for reasons. Though different reasons that they didn't explain earlier in the episode.
And they'll trace it back to me, but my life doesn't matter. Not if it saves the Earth.
Marvellous woman. I voted for her.
Unless she's your MP, then no, you didn't. You don't vote for Prime Minister. Unless you're in the party with the most seats, then you get a vote, if they replace the Prime Minister mid-term. And if the party's internal rules say that you as a regular party member get a vote. It's complicated, but I can't believe that I once again have to explain how British elections work to Russell, a man who's older than me, knows more politicians than me, and thanks to me being half Irish, is more British than me.
I voted for her.
You did not.
Grid power activated.
Important stuff must be happening. They started with the bongo drums and the electric zither, and they've even added the hooked and a feeling monkey sounds.
All terminals coordinated.
And sending!
By all phone networks combined, I am a much more obvious target than Harriet Jones!
It's been an honor.
Hey, episode, why didn't the Daleks just blow up Harriet Jones's house or something? Like, maybe they want evidence of who she was talking to. But you need a computer for that.
I warned you, Supreme One. The children of time are moving against us.
Seeing as you're all in a void outside of time and space, you can almost call them the timeless children of time. And then maybe people would start realizing just how bad this story is.
Find me, Doctor. Find me.
You're praying in the wrong finale. Anyway, the TARDIS has arrived.
And there was much rejoicing.
There's the Earth. But why couldn't we see him?
The entire Medusa Cascade has been put a second out of sync with the rest of the universe.
Well, that's bollocks. You've been waiting around longer than that. Like I said, the TARDIS has arrived, and now the Doctor has been added to the Outer Space Book group chat.
It's like an outer space Facebook.
My line was better.
Everyone except Rose.
All there except Grace. All there except Chang Lee. All there except Ace. All there except Tegan. All there except Mike Yates. All there except Sergeant Benton. All there except the Brigadier. All there except Joe. All there except Liz. All there except Ben. All there except Polly. All there except Dodo. All there except Ian and Barbara. Now, I want you to know that I wrote the next bit before the tech reveal, but I'm not rewriting it, because it still applies. This kind of shit is why I say that New Who generally doesn't give a fuck about Classic Who. This episode brings back this series' important characters, which is fine. It's Russell celebrating his era. But then it goes out of its way to say that that's all the important people.
Programmed to seek out anyone and everyone who can help to contact the Doctor.
Everyone except Rose.
And all those people I listed, those are only the pre-New Who TV companions that I remembered who were on Earth at this time period, and there's no evidence that they died since. I could easily have wasted more time by listing audio and book companions, or the TV companions who weren't on Earth, or the dead ones, or Perry, who's somehow both. Because unless you completely discount everything that happened before 2005, this is not all the important people. And fuck you for suggesting that it is.
Your voice is different, and yet its arrogance is unchanged.
You were destroyed.
Oh, so the Doctor sees Davros die several times in Classic Who, and he thought this one was stick? Because why? Because it's connected to New Who. Fuck off. Anyway, what about you, Dalek Can? Have you anything to say?
Danced and died 1,000 times.
Thought so. Good.
And you made a new race of Daleks.
Well, it's not the first time. At least he's only using his own cells this time.
Each one grown from a cell of my own body.
Are you aware that you could have just used your fingernails or pubes? Anyway, the Doctor flies off to the Earth, because of course he does.
Death is coming. Everlasting death for the most faithful companion.
For important characters in Russell Davies Who, everlasting death is a poetic turn of phrase, or at worst, a slight inconvenience. At least other versions of Who don't pretend that death is everlasting.
So you escaped from Castrovalva. I should have guessed.
As gullible as ever, my dear Doctor.
My vision is impaired. My vision is... Oh, there we go. Anyway, the Daleks finally decide to attack Torchwood.
Exterminate Torchwood!
Yeah, Miracle Day will do that to you. Anyway, Jack gets Martha to give him a couple of digits in her teleporter to get his working again.
It's a 4 and a 9. We could never work out what that was.
A, how did you reverse engineer without knowing what that was? B, if that's important, then why did you put it where anyone can see it? And C, why does this reverse-engineered Sontaran teleporter contain any information that would get the software on his human-made future time-space machine working again? I mean, if it's some kind of a universal code, then why did he need her to tell him?
It's a 4 and a 9.
It's very easily remembered.
I gotta find the doctor. I'm coming back.
Don't worry about us. Just go.
We'll be fine.
They'd probably be more fine if they didn't take their only mega alien space gun.
But they don't work against Daleks.
You know, just once I'd like to meet an alien menace that wasn't immune to bullets.
Yanto! Time and a place.
It's funny though.
Anyway, we're fast approaching the end. Everyone important, and Rose, is heading to the TARDIS, including Bixby, the good Dalek. He's cameoing from a much funnier bit in a Joe Evers video. I am a good Dalek. I wish to be your friend. Please, may I have some plum pudding? I'm not sure why, but Rose teleported in at the end of the straight. Oh, it's so they can have a dramatic running sequence. Look out, sir! That lady has a gun! I'll save you! I'm so sorry! It was an accident! He fired very quickly. Good thing he didn't appear in an orphanage. Again. Oh, look, the doctor's dying.
And there was much rejoicing.
There must be some medicine or something!
Maybe try taking to the Zero Room? Oh no, that'd ruin the cliffhanger.
I'm regenerating!
Lol, jokes on them. The start of the next episode already did that. Anyway, that's that. Well, except for Sarah Jane failing to accidentally run over some Daleks, and then try to apologize them to death.
I'm sorry!
Daleks do not accept apologies.
This was a smug, self-indulgent pile of bollocks. All that I could forgive, but this pretended to kill off 10. You shouldn't get people's hopes up like that. It's just not cool.